So let's talk about one of the biggest questions we humans have ever asked ourselves. Who created the universe? It's an absolute classic. And today, we're going to dig into it from a really unique angle, through the lens of Buddhist philosophy. Because, as it turns out, someone actually asked the Buddha this exact question. It's one of those questions that just seems to pop up naturally, right? We look around at this incredibly complex, beautiful, and sometimes chaotic world, and we just can't help but wonder, how did all this get here? Who's behind it? What's the master plan? And believe me, this is not a new question. Back in ancient India, it was a huge topic of debate, so it's no surprise that eventually someone went to the Buddha and pretty much demanded an answer. But what he said in response? Well, it probably wasn't what they were expecting at all.
Okay, so this is where it gets really interesting. The Buddha's response doesn't just give an answer, it completely flips the question on its head. It's an incredible lesson in focusing on what actually helps us.
He basically put questions like who created the universe into a special category he called the unanswered questions. Not because he couldn't answer them, but because he saw them as a total distraction. He argued that spending your life trying to figure out these giant metaphysical puzzles does absolutely nothing to solve the most immediate problem we all face, the problem of suffering. And to really make this stick, he told this incredible story, a powerful analogy that's now known as the parable of the poisoned arrow. Picture this. You've just been shot by a poisoned arrow. It's bad. Your friends are rushing over to pull it out and get you a doctor. But you hold up your hand and say, "Whoa, hold on. Before you do anything, I need to know who shot this. What's their name? What village are they from? Was the bow made of bamboo or yew? What kind of feathers were on the back of the arrow?" I mean, it's absurd, right? The Buddha's point is crystal clear. You would be dead long before you got all your answers. The arrow, that's suffering. And the most urgent, the only important task is to get the arrow out. So if the Buddha essentially put a pin in the whole creator question because it wasn't helpful, does that mean Buddhist teachings have nothing to say about the universe? Oh, not at all. In fact, they lay out a cosmological model that's just completely different. And here's the absolute key. In this worldview, there is no single starting point. No day one. You can't trace it all back to a first cause, because the cycle of existence, what's called samsara, just stretches back endlessly. It's a huge shift from thinking about a story with a clear beginning. And this chart shows that difference perfectly. On one side, you have the linear idea, a creation event, a creator, and eventually an end. But in Buddhist cosmology, it's a vast cyclical process. The universe isn't driven by the will of a single being, but by this impersonal natural law of cause and effect we call karma. And this cycle plays out over these mind-bogglingly long periods of time called kappas. You have these huge phases of destruction, then an empty void, then a slow period of reforming, and finally a long phase of existence, which is where we are now. And then the whole thing just starts all over again, and again, and again. So if there's no creator, where did the idea of a creator come from? Well, Buddhist texts have a story for that too. And it's basically a tale of cosmic mistaken identity. It's a fantastic thought experiment. Okay, so the story goes like this. A new universe cycle is just beginning. Things are starting to form again after the void. And the very first living being appears, reborn into a high celestial realm. And for a long, long, long time, it's completely alone. After just an unimaginable amount of time in solitude, this being gets tired, a bit lonely. And a powerful thought forms in its mind, a really strong wish. Oh, I wish some other beings would show up here. And then, what do you know? Right after that thought, other beings start popping into existence in that same realm. But, and this is the crucial part, it's not his wish that makes them appear. It's a complete coincidence. Their time in another realm just happened to run out, and their own karma led them to be reborn right there at that exact moment. But of course, the first being doesn't know that. From his point of view, it's simple cause and effect. He thought, I want company, and poof, company appeared. So he comes to a perfectly logical but totally wrong conclusion. I made them. I'm the great Brahma, the creator of all things. And what about the new guys? Well, they pop into existence with no memory of where they came from. They just see this magnificent, shining being who was already there. So when he tells them, hey, I created you, it makes perfect sense. They believe him. And just like that, an idea is born out of a simple cosmic misunderstanding. Okay, so that's a fascinating story, but it begs the question, if it's not a creator pulling the strings, what is running the show? The answer is one of the most important, most central ideas in all of Buddhism. It's what shifts the whole conversation away from who and toward how. It's a big word, I know. Pratitya samutpada, or dependent origination. But the idea behind it is actually beautiful and simple. It just means that nothing exists all by itself. Everything, and I mean everything, from a star to a thought, only arises because of other things that came before it. It's a universe made of relationships, not things. And this is the idea in a nutshell. It describes this incredible, seamless web of cause and effect, where everything is connected to everything else. You don't need a first cause because there's no first anything. There's just this constant, flowing process of one thing leading to the next. And once you really get this, it changes everything. Suddenly, you don't need a creator anymore. You have a natural law. You realize the universe isn't a collection of static, solid things, but a world of constant change and flow. Everything is temporary. It's a middle way that avoids extremes. Things don't exist forever, but they don't not exist either. They just arise, and then they cease. Now, I know that was a lot of cosmic level stuff, so let's bring it all the way back down to Earth. Right here, right now. Why does any of this actually matter to you and me in our daily lives? Because that law of karma we talked about, it's just dependent origination playing out in our own lives. Our thoughts, our intentions, the things we say and do, those are causes. And the world we experience, our happiness, our pain, those are the effects. We aren't just sitting in a world that was made for us. We are actively creating our reality in every single moment. And that brings us right back to the poisoned arrow. This is why the Buddha sidestepped the big cosmic questions. He wanted us to look at the cause and effect process happening right inside our own minds. Because if we can understand how our own actions and thoughts create our suffering, well, then we gain the power to change those causes. We gain the power to pull the arrow out ourselves. So the real takeaway isn't an answer to who created the universe. It's a completely different way of seeing things. The universe isn't some finished product. It's a dynamic, unfolding process, and you are a part of that process. So the real question isn't about what happened billions of years ago. The real question is about what happens next. What will your very next action, your next thought, bring into being?